Now, this video is actually a result of a question that I received. And the question was, how do you stay so committed to the consistency of releasing these videos? Well, short answer is that I love what I do and I do what I love. And I commit to that what I love. As I've mentioned many times, I make flow a priority. And what brings me flow is what I genuinely love to do. Now, a couple books that I would like to discuss today that have been helpful to me when it comes to doing what I really love to do from the perspective of deep meaning. Number one, Deep Work by Newport. And number two, The War of Art by Pressfield. So I trust that this video will be helpful for you as an artist, entrepreneur, professional, and many different applications. So let's define deep work. Professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration. These efforts create value. They could be 60 to 90-minute sessions or even longer. For me, I noticed that I could sit down, and you get better at it with practice, for hours and work on my projects. No distractions, completely focused, deep in the flow. As a matter of fact, even if there was any distractions, I wouldn't even notice them. I had people showing up and knocking on the door, and I didn't even hear the knocks on the door. I also set up an environment to facilitate this, remove distractions from my environment, but the key is that I genuinely want to be there. And I recognize the importance of developing this ability to focus. Deep work is valuable. I believe that deep work is one of the core abilities, the ability to sit down there or stand up, whatever it is that you're doing, and work on the project or the activity or whatever it is you're doing with such precision and depth of concentration and love will allow you to master your skill, your craft. It'll also allow you to produce products, innovation, artistic expressions at an elite level, both in quality and in speed. Now, deep work involves deliberate practice. Your attention is focused on a specific skill or activity, something that you're aiming to improve in or develop. As you are working on the project or the task or the artistic expression, whatever it may be, you are receiving immediate feedback for optimization. That's one of the benefits of being very present to the work that we are doing, is that we receive so many nuances of ideas, insights on how to optimize, and we seem to reveal that inherent ability, to reveal that mastery that's already inherent within us. And by the way, another good book to read, which has been really helpful for me, is Mastery by Robert Greene. And so he says here that if you're comfortable going deep, you'll be comfortable mastering the increasingly complex systems and skills to thrive. If you're learning how to play a musical instrument, mastery of the musical instrument is infinite. As in, you can always develop yourself to a higher degree, or we could say reveal yourself to a higher degree, via your artistic expression. And that's what makes deep work so meaningful. One of the ways to discover and express quality of life is through a creative expression, an art, profession, etc., entrepreneurship. Your world is the outcome of what you pay attention to. So consider for a moment the type of mental world constructed when you dedicate significant time to deep endeavors. Now, this also brings forth a higher degree of appreciation for all areas of your life, which is one of the reasons why when I commit to something, I'm fully engaged in the commitment. I said, we used to do one video a week a while back. Then I decided I was going to do 2 videos a week and 3 videos a week, and I never missed a day. And the fundamental reason why is because I genuinely want to be there. I don't see this as stressful. It's what I genuinely want to do. I have 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, and a portion of my time during the week I commit to making these videos because they're beneficial for others, they bring me a lot of joy, and they also contribute to the various business activities and initiatives that I'm involved with. So he says the best moments usually occur when a person's body or mind is stretched to its perceived limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something we could say is difficult or perceivingly difficult and worthwhile. Now, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who he refers to in the book, calls this mental state flow. Deep work is an activity well suited to generate a flow state. Whether you're a writer, marketer, consultant, or lawyer, your work is a craft, and if you hone your ability and apply it with respect and care, then you can generate meaning in the daily efforts of your professional life. So I find what I do extremely meaningful. I recognize that if I'm going to live my life, I'm going to do things, and I'm going to dedicate, let's say, 8 to 10 hours a day or whatever to have a career or a business, I might as well set up some deep work sessions. And actually, even I would go beyond that. I would set up everything that I do, which I have set it up that way, to represent that which I truly love. And everything else, well, I could delegate, automate, eliminate in part or in whole or in combination, because I want to do what I really love to do. So he's got 4 styles of depth philosophy: the monistic philosophy of deep work scheduling, the bimodal philosophy of deep work scheduling, the rhythmic philosophy of deep work scheduling, and the journalistic philosophy of deep work scheduling. You can apply one of these or do as I do. I apply a combination. The answer is it depends. So let's talk about these. The monistic approach of deep work scheduling. He says this philosophy attempts to maximize deep efforts by eliminating or radically minimizing shallow obligations. As I mentioned, automate, delegate, or eliminate. And I want to focus on the highest leverage, highest value opportunities, ones that I genuinely enjoy to do and that could serve others at a broader scale. The bimodal philosophy of deep work scheduling. This philosophy asks that you divide your time, dedicating some clearly defined stretches to deep pursuits and leaving the rest open to everything else. So the way I work with this is, as mentioned, I apply the monastic philosophy by focusing on the activities that are the most relevant to me and are the highest value and output generating. Number 2 is I then carve out time. For example, Monday I work on Tuesday's video, Tuesday I work on Thursday's video, and Wednesday I work on Sunday's video. It's actually carved out in my calendar. Nobody can block time. No one can book appointments with me. Clients can't schedule sessions with me. Team members are not able to interact with me during that time. I am focused. I have undivided attention on working on these videos. Number 3, the rhythmic philosophy of deep work scheduling. And so he says, this philosophy argues that the easiest way to consistently start deep work sessions is to transform them into a simple, regular habit. The goal, in other words, is to generate a rhythm for this work that removes the need for you to invest energy in deciding if and when you're going to go deep. Now I relate this over to actually just the commitment of doing this over the course, long term. I've been doing this for years. And we always discuss the importance of habits. So once you commit to something like this, then the goal is to make this a habit, a weekly schedule or a daily schedule. Now, combining all this, a person eliminates the things that they don't want to do. They carve out the time to do the things that they really want to do. And they build momentum and a habit through consistency, showing up every day or every week and committing to that schedule. I also apply this to working out. I work out Monday to Friday do weights in the morning, and it's a set schedule as part of my morning routine. I also may run in the evenings, although that could vary 2, 3, 4 days a week. But the morning, Monday to Friday workouts are consistent. Then we've got the journalistic philosophy of deep work scheduling. He says, I call this approach in which you fit deep work wherever you can into your schedule, the journalistic philosophy. So this is highly relevant for me in combination of these other philosophies while I am traveling. So sometimes based on the business deals, different hours, different time zones, travel, I may carve out some time on the airport lounge to create these mind maps or to work on specific projects, distraction-free, focused, deep work sessions. And I do them as needed. Could be on a flight, and sometimes I do what is known as a workcation, where I might go away for a week, and it's a mix of vacation plus doing some work. Although I do dedicate time for 7 days of vacation, these workations in which I travel, enjoy life, I carve out time either out of the hotels or wherever to do these deep work sessions. And then the rest of the time I do whatever I feel like doing. Now he also speaks about downtime, giving yourself enough time to rejuvenate from your deep work sessions. Number one, he says, downtime aids insights. I would agree with this because I notice that when I have time for myself, which I do carve out the time for myself, I get insights, perspectives, ideas for what to discuss in these videos, improve operational inefficiencies, optimize streams of revenue, create additional streams of revenue for my clients' business deals, etc. Reason number two, downtime helps recharge the energy needed to work deeply. You'll notice this. Giving yourself time to rejuvenate, you'll have more energy and more focus, lightheartedly so, on your deep work sessions. Reason number three, the work that evening downtime replaces is usually not that important. So I found this to be the case. One has to really consult with themselves to see if it's applicable or not. But what I relate to in this is that I have a morning routine, I have my work day, and then I have my end of day, which I do the things that are rejuvenating. In the winter, I used to snowboard, or I go for walks, etc. And I find that those experiences contribute to higher degrees of deep work and flow the next day. And I find that if I don't make time to do those things, the next day I might find not being as deep in flow. So now that we talked about deep work, and I recommend using a combination or even a specific philosophy to start with that resonates with you, let's relate this over to The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. Now, my biggest takeaway from this book is resistance. And resistance is something that artists, entrepreneurs, career professionals feel this to some degree based on putting our content, our creative expressions into the marketplace, etc. It's self-generated, and resistance actually has no strength of its own. We feed it the power via our own thinking patterns, in which it could play itself out the following ways: procrastination, criticism, fear. So procrastination is the most common manifestation, he says, of somebody that has not been able to yet make peace with this resistance within themselves. And what I found are some cures for procrastination is, number one, committing to what you truly love. Number two, engaging in some of these philosophies here from deep work to sit down and commit to the activities, turn it into a habit. And then it becomes a way of life. You'll notice this. Criticism. What we find, and he had mentioned this as well, is that individuals who realize their own lives, as in commit to deep work, the self-realization and self-actualization process of their creative expressions, entrepreneurial endeavors, professional outputs, etc., focus more on encouraging themselves and encouraging others. They find themselves in a nurturing environment. And so thus, again, deep work helps with this, because when you're deeply committed to what you're doing and you love what you do, and you set your life up so that it encourages having deep work sessions. You genuinely want to praise yourself for the progress that you've been making. You look back at your life and you say, wait a second, back in the days I used to procrastinate, I used to overthink, overanalyze, criticize myself and others. Now, I find myself encouraging myself to do what I really love to do, find flow in it, and also encourage others to do the same. And so he shares also a philosophy that I have in regards to fear, in which we discuss this. I'll put a link in the description to the video, in which I personally don't consider fear an enemy. He says the same thing here. He says, are you paralyzed with fear? That's a good sign. Fear is good. He says, fear tells us what we have to do. As I mentioned this, a lot of times I found in deep work, creative expressions, I gave the example of public speaking, fear mixed with excitement is an indicator to me of what I really want to do, what I really love to do. Because a lot of times we find on the other side of fear, as was articulated in the video, the cave we fear to enter holds the treasure we seek, that which we love. Fear is good, he says. Remember one rule of thumb. The more scared we are of a work or calling, the more sure we can be that we have to do it, or we could say, love to do it. I found this to be the commonality in my life, and many that I've had conversations with as well, who have become professionals as a result of taking their artistic endeavors pro, as in they build careers and businesses around their arts. They realize this as the true alchemists that they are. Love and fear have a relationship, and many benefit from it, and so they get paid really well for doing what they really love to do. As they allow themselves to express, become pro, because that's what this book is about, transmuting the resistance into a creative expression. And so in relation to love, he says, if you're feeling massive resistance, the good news is there could be tremendous love there too. Now let's speak about isolation. He gives an interesting example on when he wrote this book, which is one of his forms of artistic expression. The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, great book. Recommended for artists, entrepreneurs who have challenges in regards to resistance. They can befriend the resistance, transmute it over to a creative expression via deep work. Via deep work sessions, find flow in it. He says, even in a book like this, which has no characters, I don't feel alone because I'm imagining the reader, whom I conjure as an inspiring artist, much like my own younger self. And to me, this is one of the reasons why I put out these videos. I realized how challenging it was in the entrepreneurial journey, during my career journey, during the journey of discovering what I truly love to do and allowing myself to do it from a place of flow, harmony, peace. And I imagine, and certainly I have had many conversations with those as a result of these videos, having the conversation with the individuals that could be going through the same kind of things. And to me, that's very important. So I don't feel isolated during my deep work sessions. There's an enormous amount of meaning and purpose in my deep work sessions. And so the book is about overcoming resistance by turning pro. Here's how he defines the pro. We show up to work every day. We show up no matter what. We stay on the job all day. We are committed over the long haul. The stakes for us are high and real. We accept remuneration for our labor, as in we get paid and get paid really well for doing what we love to do. We do not overly identify with our jobs. We master the technique of our jobs. We have a sense of humor about our jobs. Lighthearted, fun, flow, play. We receive praise or blame in the real world. In other words, we recognize that putting ourselves out there into the marketplace, products, services, presenting ourselves authentically could receive whatever the feedback in which, how we relate to it, our own thinking patterns in relation to, what we suggest to ourselves in relation to. That's been our discussions over the videos. Determines the degree of joy that we have proceeding down the path of serving others through fair mutual exchange and compensation. And so here are aspects of the pro. Patient, seeks order, acts in the face of fear, accepts no excuses, dedicates themselves to mastering techniques, does not hesitate to ask for help, does not take failure or success personally, because this is about being who we really are and not creating unnecessary thinking patterns in which a person becomes identified with being desperate for success praise or resistant to the optimization data that comes from things not working out as planned, in which we refer to here as failure, endures adversity, and self-validates. So I recommend reading this book because many different ways are discussed to overcome if a person has internal resistance within themselves, which could end up making the deep work sessions even more challenging than they need to be, rather than being a flow-based or loving-based time to do what you really love. So then when we relate these two together, we can say resistance is meaningful. Personally, I don't have a problem with resistance or fear because I recognize that the cave I fear to enter holds the treasure that I seek. I've seen this many times in my life. And my trust is that it'll further encourage this realization in you. And if this is new to you, then I trust that this information and also these books will be very valuable on your journey to realizing the harmonious relationship in the idea that resistance actually moves you forward. Resistance, when transmuted, actually propels you forward. Think about this for a moment. A person has resistance to the life that they have. They're not living, doing what they really love to do. They feel this internal resistance. And then one day they get an idea. They say, you know what? I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do what I really love to do. They commit to it, and they apply the deep work sessions. And not only are they able to produce the results, achieve the life that they want, but they also realize more about themselves. They value the journey and the destination. Thus, we turn resistance into a friend. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's go ahead and conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. We could say, I realize that it's easier each day to determine that which I truly love, so I could focus my time, my energy, my resources, and my opportunity moments to deep work, expressing what I truly love. I notice that this becomes a habit, a way of life, and even if things change or seeming chaos appears, I'm able to find the time and energy to commit to and creatively express cultivating my skill during deep work. I realize that resistance is my friend, fear is my friend, because the cave I fear to enter holds the treasure that I seek. Thus, I commit to what I love, what I saw in my imagination as the vision, and I find myself automatically expressing the great work. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.